All right, we are rolling. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So for those out there who have tuned in, my name is Kenneth Brown and I am Board of Trustee member, actually Vice President of the Board of Trustees at El Camino College, and I'm running for Area 1 re-election, which is Inglewood and Ladera Heights. And I am joined by two future Board of Trustee members, David Kartsonis and Siannah Collado. How you guys doing?
Doing well, thank you. Thank you for having us.
Counting down the days.
Now, Siannah, I know I messed up your name because you got like 5 names. I apologize. Because on the billboard, on the fantastic looking billboards that I see up and down the neighborhood, is Siannah Collado Boutté.
You got it.
So I want to make sure that we get it right. So how you guys doing today? How's the campaigning going?
Is it November 3rd yet? Or November 4th?
No. Oh my gosh, it's been such a long season.
It's going. I feel like I'm just, feeling happy that it's almost over in the home stretch, because I'm sure you guys feel the same way. We can continue to do all kinds of calls and emails, and it's never ending. It's turning into a second full-time job, but it's nice to meet people on the way and get the support from your friends and new people you meet along the way. So I'm just happy that it's almost over.
Yeah, I joke that I'm kind of starting to look like my yard signs. I'm drooping a little bit. I'm like a little more tired than I was when I first showed up on the scene, but we're holding together. Only a
little weathered.
Yeah, a few more days we can push through.
So I'll try to be like the Dan Rather of Zoom here. Siannah, tell us about your campaign. Tell us what you're standing for, what the big issues for you are going into looking for support for the Board of Trustee.
Well, the big issues, I think we all agreed on this based on the last article we had, was like the main item on the agenda is to hire a new president. And during that process, currently, you voted on it last meeting. I was there, where they hired the the agency that's going to do the recruitment for the board, and I like the fact that they're doing a community involvement and having members from the community participate in the process to ensure that it's a well represented leader for our community. I also want to make sure that we work on the recruitment and retention of more minority students, because as a alumni and Afro-Latina, I understand those issues of like being a first generation college student and the struggles of having to choose to eat versus books. So I'm grateful to the things that David did, like the Warrior Pantry, that is very helpful for students that are struggling and are single parents going through college. I also want to make sure that I just sit down with all the constituents and figure out how we could better assist them as board members along the process during the possibility of going back to college and opening up according to the medical authorities or whoever decides to reopen at the chancellor's office. So it's a smooth transition for everyone, and we could benefit from those beautiful buildings you guys, the bond oversight committee worked on so hard.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. Well, how about you, David? What are some of your strong priorities and when you're out there meeting the voters, some of the things that you're talking about?
Well, Siannah hit a bunch of them, and I mean, I was on the foundation, and this is kind of a logical next step when Mary told me she was thinking about retiring, that she wanted me to run for her seat. I've been thinking about it for a long time, so I had a list of what I wanted to do, stuff that we've done on the foundation, like continuing the Warrior Pantry and all that stuff that I want to do at El Camino. And then disaster struck, and now there's a list of things that we need to do. Siannah already hit on, we need to replace Dr. Maloney, unfortunately, is retiring, so we need to find someone to fill that seat. We need to figure out how to safely reopen. We need to figure out how to deal with impending budget doom. The state budget is clearly in a really terrible place, and that's gonna fall right on our shoulders, and we're gonna have to figure out what to do. So finding that president that's going to be able to guide us through some really tough waters is going to be important, and being able to independently thoughtfully figure out how financially we're gonna move forward, I think is really important.
Yeah, and I'll pick up that thread on the presidential search. So I guess we had a board meeting. Was it this week? Wow, my weeks are running into each other. So for a lot of people who don't know what the process is, so the board met in late October. And we selected a presidential search firm, and that's going to help us with getting the word out, putting a requisition or a statement of work together, and starting to recruit. And so we anticipate that lasting until maybe February, getting January maybe. Getting the candidates in, and then we start the selection process. And so we did form a selection committee, and it's made out of all the constituents of the district. So we have, faculty, staff, students, members of the community, administration, and so they'll do their work. Eventually they'll recommend a slate of candidates, if I can even use that word anymore, but maybe 3 to 5 candidates, depending on how much time we have, to the board, and then the board will do their final selection. So that's in general how the process for those who are watching this will work. So for me, that's a big deal. Obviously, the budget, we're waiting for the other shoe to drop with the budget. There's been some deferments out of Sacramento that will probably turn into cuts come January. They really come March, but you can't just wait till March to do these cuts. So we're looking at those kind of cuts and savings and cost savings on the community at the community college. And obviously diversity is a big issue as well. And so as people are talking about what our campus looks like, making sure that the faculty and staff that serve our students look like the district that we serve. We want to make sure that we're intrusive as a board member. We want to make sure we're intrusive in that process. So those are some of the big things that I'm doing. But yeah, like Siannah was saying, I can't wait till the 3rd to get here. So
actually the 4th, right? Because we'll be done the 3rd.
True.
The 4th.
Right, because it might be a long night too, right?
Well, yeah, I had somebody who's running for a different, entirely different position, but he's saying that he hopes he hears by Thanksgiving.
That's what I heard too.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not so sure about that. Well, so even with the number of ballots returned, right? I think, David, you were telling me earlier this week, it's like, man, we've already passed the number of ballots that we cast in mid-year
we're well past the primaries.
At the primary, right? So
in my district, 45% of them were returned. So out of 83,000 ballots, 37,000 have already been returned, which is great.
And but so my question is, from the last election, how many total ballots out of your district were even turned in?
I don't know, because this is limited only to the community college district, so I don't know how you can compare it. That's a good analysis, but I know that when El Camino was on its own and they had their own elections before they redistricted, it was like 12%. So that gives you perspective. That's a lot.
I mean, we got to be coming up on the numbers of total ballots that were cast the last election. I mean it's going to be a tremendous number.
Yeah, it's going to be unprecedented, the sort of voter turnout.
Well, and so I again, I'm still I'm not sitting at the house over the weekend. I'm still going out and meeting the public, and we have another Get Out the Vote event hopefully on Sunday. And so, oh yeah, for those of you who are watching, this past weekend, or the weekend of the 24th, we had a Get Out the Vote concert. And so Siannah and David, your names were spoken a couple of times that day. But you know, we had a little jazz concert and a little fundraiser. It wasn't really a fundraiser. It was really a fundraiser for the band, which is great. But just make an awareness of how to get the vote. How do you cast your vote? There's so many ways now we can do it in California. And so I'm really excited about that. And so and now our voting centers are open.
Yeah,
including the one at El Camino.
I had 5 friends vote today, and they said it was a very easy, smooth process. So I'm looking forward to going on Sunday to do mine.
So Siannah, you can't tell people when you're going to go. Then they're going to mob you, like with the. Now, David, have you been to the one? It opened today at El Camino. Did you go today or?
I'm not gone yet.
Okay.
I'm gonna check it out. He's dining room.
And see, I was going to go in the next 24 hours. So, you know, hint, hint. So what else? I'm sorry, what did you say, Siannah?
Paparazzis are going to come out.
Not for me. Maybe for David. So David, what else do you need to do in your campaign? What else are you looking to do or to accomplish?
Well, we're kind of at the end of the road. I mean, I did as much of the door hangers as I can. We did a bunch of door hangers. We have done a little bit of phone banking, a little bit of text banking. I know I haven't done any mass texts. I know some of the other people out there running have done mass texts. I'm doing all my personal messages individual, so I still have a pretty large chunk of a list to keep sending away there. But it's just keep getting people to pay attention. I keep trying to tell people to vote the whole ballot. The local election's important, and that's going to be interesting to see the percentage of this huge voter turnout. How many of them actually vote down far enough to get to us?
I don't know how it is on your ballot, but on our ballot, I'm the first one on it. It's like the community college.
That's true. We are at the top.
So instead of down ballot, we're at the front, which is nice, you know.
That's the new way. That's the new paradigm now.
I love it.
And in fact, in my ballot, I am actually the very first name that you see when you open up the ballot. So I whatever lottery it was, I won that lottery. Now, should we look? Right before we went to broadcast this, you know, you guys brought my attention to the article in the student union newspaper, and I'm sitting over here trying to read it as I spoke, and so I did not have a chance to talk to the author, and that's really my bad. I've been working and I totally missed it. But maybe we can.
Science is keeping you too busy.
Just a little bit, you know. We gotta,
all the rockets.
Legit rocket scientist.
Hey, trying to keep the nation safe. That's all I'm saying. But maybe somebody can talk about, you know, the article, and then just maybe the environment, because I don't know about you guys, but for me, it's been a little weird, right? And you know, I'm in a district with Maxine Waters, and you know, Maxine Waters and the Congresswoman's staff. We've been together for a long time, and I got their endorsement, which is great. But there's a lot of external money and external people from outside of our neighborhood coming in to try to, you know, manipulate the election, frankly. And I'm seeing that in my race, right? And so, you know, I'll have an event, or I'll show up to an event, and there's a bunch of people who don't live in my district, who don't live in Inglewood or Ladera Heights, coming in and you know, just causing, you know, not trying to learn, but they're being disruptive in my race. I don't know. So does the article talk about that? Like I said, I pulled it up, but I haven't read it.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I didn't get so much into the money or the special interest funding side of it. I know you both are having the same fight that I'm having, where all my money came from family and friends, and all my endorsements are from local community leaders. I won't say 100% sure, but I believe every ad I've seen from my opponent has been paid for by a special interest organization. So yeah, I mean, we're kind of fighting the same battle here. But so she didn't really get into where the money comes from, but she did. I mean, she put it pretty well when she interviewed me. I'm referring to Molly, the editor in chief of the El Camino College Union. It feels like the elections has two factions essentially, and yeah, I mean, I guess it kind of feels like it does. I mean, we kind of have the two different organizations. You have the special interest recruited and funded side, and then you have our side, the more community grassroots sort of campaigns. I mean, I don't want to posture it as a Axis versus Allies sort of thing as much as I feel like maybe I am. So I apologize for that. But I mean, it is very fractured and faction.
Yeah, and to piggyback on that, like I think my conversation with Molly was mainly on the issue that, oh, I wasn't recruited by the teachers union, or I wasn't endorsed by the teachers union. I'm like, well, I was never going to get an endorsement by them because they had recruited and vetted my opponent before I even interviewed with them. And I provided the minutes that were on the AFT website, where on August 13th, they're saying they were trying to do a labor slate and they were trying to, find someone to run against you, Ken, that they had already found and talked to. So it's kind of hard going in knowing that they had recruited and vetted someone, admittedly by an email by Miss Eno. And I go there and present myself, putting my best foot forward, knowing that they were already going to endorse her until later. So that's what I simply was saying, that it was like the transparency wasn't really there. Yeah, they might have not given her the questions, but they had already talked to her beforehand to run for the position.
Right.
So that's the part that I was like, let's not be disingenuous here.
Yeah, and I guess as you're saying that was kind of my feeling as well. It's like when I found out that back in February and March they had started recruiting, and then I'm reaching out to try to go through the process, what I thought was a process, a fair process. That's disheartening, right? Because at the end of the day, I know I've seen your work, Siannah, I've seen your work, David, and it's about the students and it's about the community. And if you're not on that same page, if you're about something else, I have a hard time getting with you. So, but it just seemed like a waste of time and a waste of effort if you're just going through the song and dance. I mean, I went through an endorsement process with other entities, and it seemed fair. I didn't get them all, but at the same time, I don't think they had it. They didn't have it locked and built for somebody else. So, so that's a frustrating thing about it. And I keep hearing, don't take it personal, Ken. Don't take it personal. But when you're asking your friends and your neighbors to support you in a race, and it becomes a little personal, especially when you see, for me, you see the effects of you not being in that seat. If I'm not in that seat, I don't know if we have the graduation rates that we have. If I'm not in that seat, I don't know if the respect from the other institutions, as we're looking at workforce development, as we're looking at partnerships with other institutions and business leaders, I don't know if that's going to happen. So it's more than just about one thing. So anyway, that's my soapbox moment.
No, there was one moment, one question or comment that I knew. Two things. I knew, one, that I needed to really fight as hard as I could to win, because like you said, if I'm not in this seat, what happens? And I knew I wasn't going to get the endorsement of the AFT when I was basically told, well, the plan is to drain the emergency cash reserve so that we can fund a permanent salary increase.
Right. And
as somebody that's done budgets a lot, either at my company or on the foundation or any of the myriad places that I've had to look at a balance sheet, it doesn't make sense to use a limited emergency cash reserve to fund permanent salary increases. That was kind of the moment for me where it clicked, where I'm like, this is a serious disconnect here. And then when you look at the demands that were placed on the Board of Trustees during the negotiations right after the pandemic started, the demands were essentially a 30% salary increase. That, I mean, and if you do the math, a 30% salary increase is right around the amount of the emergency cash reserves. So it felt like there was kind of a disconnect from reality there, responsibility there, and then you start to take into account the state budget and these deferrals, which may or may not become cuts. I've been talking to people I know at the state and been warned that we should be prepared both ways, because I mean, who knows what's going to happen. But if they become cuts, I mean, it looks like the emergency cash reserve is now $6 million, which I guess is less than our legal requirement, about 7 million, right? Because it's,
yeah, right now it's about 23, and I think the latest budget we are doing a deficit spend, and so it's going to go down to about 19 and a half, maybe 20 mil, and
which is what the emergency cash reserve is for.
Right. And you know, there's been some proposals that were out there that would burn that down to less than 5. By state law, we're supposed to have a minimum amount or a certain percentage, and so you don't want to be at the floor, right? That's just not physically sound.
We've seen what's happened before when, I've mentioned this before, where boards are taken over by teachers unions and they do exactly what, they're trying to do here.
Right.
They take over, they drain the reserves, they go bankrupt, and someone has to take over. And the schools are at risk of losing accreditation, or like in Compton, where we had to step in and take over them because they're about to close. So those are all concerns that I have as someone that loves El Camino so much, that given this crisis that's going on in the world, we want to have more kids that are getting educated and people that are looking into other careers. We can't have this college get drained. I mean, we were able to survive the '08 crisis because we had a healthy reserve. So that's my goal in it. Like, I know I'm running against a politician. She was a commissioner for 24 years in the city. She's got a lot of political connections. So very dialed in, which is why she's got lots of money to spend on the campaign. I'm going grassroots all the way. And I hope that the people that are, reading the ballot statement gets to know that, I have a connection like you guys do to the college. And that's why we care. We're not just running as a political stepping stone to go into something else. Like, I'm totally fine being a lawyer right now. And, I'm a mom of a 4-year-old, so I'm pretty busy. I'm not doing this because I have to. I'm doing it because I want to help and give back. So.
And that's a really good point. And I know sometimes we can go down the drain or the rabbit hole of this budget talk. And one thing that I guess I want to ask you to, because this is something I've been thinking about, is in lieu of these cuts or in lieu of this budget stuff, what can we do as board members to help with the budget, right? So for a lot of people who don't know, our tuition is $46 a unit, right? And that's capped by the Sacramento, state of California. And so it's not like we can raise our fees for taking the class at El Camino. But at the same time, what we want to do is, again, have, in my opinion, good community partners. We have a really good aerospace fastener training, right? And we can train these machinists to go straight into the aerospace field where I work. And there's companies that will pay to have targeted training for a lot of our students and a lot of the people out of the community. That's just one idea. I don't know if you guys have thought about other ideas, but I started to think about it because I have a pretty good relationship actually with the faculty and staff at El Camino, and too many times we can't blame them for our enrollment issues, right? We have to make sure that we're doing as an institution, we have to go out and recruit and be intrusive in our community and make sure that we hold up the flags of what we're doing on campus and our buildings. But I think we have to have some new ideas as far as what kind of programs to offer, because I think we're in a new day. I mean, we just started offering, cyber training with Amazon Web Services. That's huge, right? In order for us to be able to do that, there's not really any other community colleges that are doing that. And the people who are doing it, it's really, really expensive. $10,000 a class is what I was sending my employees to for their training that we can do at El Camino for a couple $100. You guys have any thoughts about any of that stuff?
Yeah, that all sounds fantastic. I know that I was talking to someone about Sprock, and I know they have a lot of vocational issues and financial. So I don't know if we could work on something collaborative with the kids that are going to Costa Redondo that feed into Sprock to see if we could either collaborate or help them with that with vocational trades. I can speak for myself. My cousin, he's attending college currently, but he was a beneficiary of the El Camino Language Academy. So he did that for a year.
Okay.
Went back to Panama. That was not $46 a unit. I'll tell you, it was a couple $1,000s. And he's currently paying out of state tuition, which is close to $5,000 a semester. But it's because we believe in the college so much. So maybe recruiting or trying to retain outside students would be great, international students too, to help them with all our benefits because we're in such a great location. But I think the businesses too. I got a student who graduated from El Camino, is at UCLA, and she wants to go to law school. From the Easy Reader debate, reached out to me, and she wants to do an internship. And I'm like, once things open up, I'm happy to take you around and court with me and do hearings and client stuff. And I know a lot of people in the community too, so maybe we could do like paid internships with other law firms or kind of help students that way too, supplement their income for college. But I think the key of it is to do the full-time enrollment recruitment for students in like our high schools, right? And help them. I used to speak to students that were thinking about coming out Camino and be like, hey, this is my experience. This is why you would benefit. If I could do it, you could do it, kind of thing. Maybe do more of those activities just to encourage the students to come on campus. And while they're there, we have to work on making sure they have the services like EOP&S and CARES to support them.
Yeah, I think those are all great ideas. I mean, I came to El Camino before college age. So I think that's always a great opportunity to have our local students be able to supplement their education with actual college tuition. I think one of the things that we're already kind of doing is just making it easier to come to college. Stuff like the South Bay Promise that we spent a lot of time working on is incredible, because you basically see these students who, we talked to hundreds of these people, and they all had the same story, which was that I never thought I was going to go to college, or this literally was just, it never even crossed my mind I would go to college. It wasn't even a possibility for me. And then somebody at my high school told me about this, and now all of a sudden I can. Or I always wanted to go to high school, but then my dad got sick, and then this happened and this happened. So making it so that these students can come is important for us to be able to increase our numbers, because our student body is so diverse. We have people from vastly different socioeconomic backgrounds, and whatever we can do to get people to college, through college, is important. Because that's another thing that we did through the South Bay Promise, is it's not just all about the money. It's about ensuring their success by making sure that they have all of the support that they need going through college. Because when you take a first generation college student, they don't know the process, and we can't expect them to know the process. So, and if we're not going to let them fail, and that should not be an option, we need to make sure that we have as much support for them as possible. And then another one, just because I've worn my foundation hat for so long, I think outside money is always great. One of the things we did, and I'm sure you guys will remember this, is we had the first ever endowed chair at a community college, at El Camino College. We got that done. And that was an exciting thing. I mean, it's great. We basically took an entire person off the payroll, funded by private money. And that's, I mean, you see it a lot at universities, the university level. You see tons of this. Kind of a brand new idea for community colleges, but I think it's a great opportunity for us to further those sort of programs.
I'm actually excited when I think about the different things that we are having the opportunities to do. Now I'd love to get out of the Zoom and the distance learning mode as quick as possible, as safe as possible. Teaching it, I'm telling you, it's not fun. Although I think my kids are more attuned to it, but it's just very hard for me, you know, teaching old dogs new tricks. But I'm really excited about, you know, you guys have great ideas. You guys have, you know, different perspectives. I'm very excited to move El Camino to the future with you guys, frankly. Not to sound too mushy, but I mean, because that's the kind of foresight and the thought process we're going to need. You know, it's not going to be easy. I mean, we got to get through Tuesday, obviously, and then we got to get through the budget stuff, and then we got to get through, you know, finding the new CEO, you know, getting them settled, and then enrollment, and then when to open up the school.
And then re-election again.
Yeah. Thanks for reminding me. But yeah, and so anyway, I just wanted to say that to you guys while I had you. This is almost like the calm before the storm, that we can kind of just sit down and speak. And anything else that's on your mind? I mean, you know, I do too much talking.
Actually, not to put you on the spot, Ken, but I know you've talked with Bill about this, and actually, David, I think this is like a project for you since I'm technologically not that cool. The El Camino channel, that's something we could use to like advertise and kind of communicate with our students, and like we need to modernize it because there's nothing really being shown on that. That's a waste of resources that could be used, you know, somehow to benefit commercials, or I don't know.
Well, no, well, not only that, I mean, not only do we need to modernize it, but again, that partnership with the community. I mean, in our district, in El Camino's district, we have a $5 billion stadium complex that includes the NFL networks who are, you know, moving from Culver City into Inglewood. Why can't we have that partnership with them? Why can't we, you know, go to the NFL and say, hey, you know what? You know, your local community college has a television broadcast studio. We need help with that, right? Because guess what? I don't have too much money because of the whole COVID, but how about getting some training for not just people in front of the camera, but for behind the camera? To me, it's a no-brainer. It will help them, and it will definitely help our students. And so, you know, why can't we do that? You know, I've already made overtures to them, and but that's something that I think we should be able to do rather quickly, right? And we don't have to worry about the academic senate. It's not in the program, so we have the stuff right there, and so there's not a bunch of hurdles except for, you know, getting the right people who care. So I appreciate you bringing that up.
Yeah, that's good. I think one of the things that's kind of been a little frustrating for me during the campaigning is that so many people care about El Camino, because if you just, when you can throw a rock and hit somebody that went to El Camino in the area. I mean, there's basically everybody here either went or knows somebody or is related to somebody that went to El Camino. But so few people actually have any sense of the goings-ons of the college since they have left. I think this campaign is probably the most they've heard El Camino spoken in quite a while. I mean, that's to you and your colleagues' credit, Ken, that the college is kind of run smoothly and seamlessly without really any issues. The fact that we've already gone through some really tough financial situations and come out the other side unscathed, and and thriving. The fact that we were in a position to be able to help Compton College just speaks to the kind of leadership coming from you and your colleagues. And I mean, I know we hear change a lot. I'm not sure exactly what kind of change we'd want. I think we want the continued strong, smart, thoughtful leadership that we've seen from the college. I do want people to pay attention to El Camino a little bit more, so that when we have an election next time, maybe we'll have some forums and some candidate debates and stuff like that. Get people to actually care.
You know, there was no drama Obama. That's kind of how I felt. I did not want to see my name in the newspaper, you know, but that was my, but again, to my detriment, right? But what we do want to do is we want to show the college and the students off. And I think we do a good job. I mean, we have great stories. I mean, you guys, you guys are great stories. I mean, I'm not an El Camino alum. You guys are distinguished alumni. And what you guys have accomplished just in the business, and you guys, you look like you just graduated high school too, by the way. You're making me really, really jealous. So that's awesome. And we got to get the stories. We got to keep getting the stories out. So, but I appreciate what you're saying, David, but trust me, I just need to stay out of I just want to stay out of the news. All righty. Well, I mean, I'm not a very good host, but I mean, you know, I always love talking to you guys, and going into the final few days of the election, hopefully we can get this information out, and I think this gives people a little bit of a sneak behind, you know, the candidates, and you know what we're really thinking about. We're actually human beings, even though we coordinated here, all our El Camino Blue here. But it's just good talking to you guys. Any last thoughts before we sign off?
I wish you both the best. I think you're both in a great position. Ken, you're an incumbent. You're a rock star in what you've done already. David, your track story. I mean, you're like your history with El Camino since you were 13. The Bond Oversight Committee, the foundation, everything you've done just speaks volumes. So hopefully you guys both get elected. And if I don't get elected, I'll still work with you. So you can't get rid of me. That's all I'm saying.
And there's no doubt in my mind that we will be seeing you guys regardless of what happens on the 3rd. How about you, David? Any last thoughts?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna agree. I love El Camino, so it's gonna be hard to get rid of me. Running because I love the college, so I'll be here one way or the other. Hopefully as a trustee, but we'll see what happens. I mean, you never know. It's just to touch real quick on the factioning one more time. It's just it felt natural that I was in your guys' team, as if there's teams. You both, I mean, of all the candidates running for all the seats, you two are the only ones that I have ever had any sort of experience with before, because we have seen each other at El Camino College, working to better the school, better the lives of the students, better the lives of the teachers and staff and faculty. So I mean, it kind of feels natural that we're working together again. And I can't wait to work with you guys in this capacity, if the voters so will it. But thank you for the opportunity to talk to you guys. Fun has been.
Yeah, and so let me just sign off by saying to whoever's watching, again, I'm an incumbent. I've been sitting in the seat for 8.5, 9 years, and not only do I serve on the board at El Camino, but I also serve on the board of the state of California for trustees of community colleges. And I can tell you this, and I'm a little biased, but I can tell you, out of the 733 trustees, these two who are on the Zoom with me right now are as qualified and dedicated as anybody who I have been serving with in the state. And you know, for me, it's a slam dunk of it's not even a question of who people should be supporting in the other two seats. And that's why I want to do whatever I can for you guys personally, because, having a former trustee, former student trustee, which is the equivalent of a trustee, run for the trustee office, that is a huge deal. And again, David, your history and your family, it's stuff of legends. But these are two distinct alumni who have been serving the college, and so that's my heavy-handed endorsement for your candidacy. You guys, you can call me anytime that anything that you need, and hopefully, I'm gonna give you a call on Tuesday night at 8:01. And we'll see what those first returns look like. And hopefully it won't take until Thanksgiving.
Oh man, I hope not.
Hopefully it won't take till Thanksgiving.
I don't think I'd make it.
I don't have that kind of energy. Luckily, my job is like, okay, yeah, we know Ken is running for election. We'll give him a couple of hours off per day. So I didn't say that. Anyway, thanks for joining me on this conversation. It's been great having you. Great being able to chat with you. We got to do this again. Not too long. It shouldn't take us 4 years to do this again. So even though it's Zoom time. All right. Well, I will sign off. Thank you again for anybody who's watching and listening. Hopefully you've learned something. Oh, Siannah, plug your website so people can get more information on your candidacy.
Sure. It's Siannah, the number 4, elcaminocollege.com.
How about David?
I'm David, the number 4, ECC.com.
And mine is Ken Brown, ECC.com. And we'll make sure that wherever we post this, we'll have the links to our website just so people can learn a little bit more. So thanks so much and have a great evening and be safe.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Oh, let's see. I don't want to do that button. I want to hit this button.